What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm your host for today's festivities. I am Rockin Robbie Billups, and it is Friday afternoon, which means it's time for the Rex and the Amy and the Robbie show. And of course, I am Rockin Robbie, but you can't have the show without the dynamic Dynamite duo themselves. It's awesome, Amy, and so happy to see this, man. Never thought I'd be so happy to see rambunctious and raving and raging Rex in the house. What is up, y'all? Station.
I'm not sure how to take that, to be honest with you. That. Okay, why are you laughing like a supervillain? What's with the sinister?
I know how he feels.
Yeah, but we have to laugh like a sinister supervillain or something. I mean, what's up with that? So, hey, Jay, what's going on,
It's
buddy?
fun to do. The evil laugh's fun to do.
Okay, some things have changed since I left. I don't know
Well, it's good to see y'all, man. Good to see y'all.
So you know what? We might as well deal with the elephant in the room. And this Big John, Marcus, everybody that's here. So
Anissa, by the way, we found out last week it's Anissa.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Anissa. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah,
okay, my excuse, I wasn't here. So I've been out for a little.
She gave me a compliment. I had to say thank you.
The world has run amok since I've been gone. So I have no problem talking about it at the time, because if it helps one person who's not been doing what they should be doing, then it's thank you, Alex. It's worth it. So on March 26th, my great surprise, I had a stroke. So no Marcus, that unfortunately my parents were. So it was a pretty bad week. We had to euthanize our cat after spending a couple $1,000s. The week after that, I suffered a stroke. I was very lucky. And then Marcus, right after that, there was an earthquake in Taiwan where my parents live. So the month of March, I'm glad to see it go out. Reason I bring it up, I'm actually very lucky. Doctors have told me, I've heard horror stories. But I will say this as a PSA to everybody out there: if you have hypertension, get it looked at. Okay, get it looked at right now, because it is a silent killer. I got to tell you, I did not know I had one. I knew something was off on that Wednesday morning on 26th. I drove to urgent care, which was stupid because I just wasted $75. They sent me to the hospital. But I could have very easily poo-pooed it and just said I was tired and whatever. And I didn't that day. And they told me that was really important, the timing of it. So to everyone out there, I mean, if you have hypertension, if you have anything, go see a doctor. I got to tell you that the pandemic made it easy for me to avoid that. So I've always had hypertension for the last 20 years, probably, if not longer. And I was on a certain type of medication. But after the pandemic, telehealth became so easy. So rather than go see the doctor to see if it was still working, I ended up going to telehealth, and you talk to them one time, and I pay them $75. They push a script to the pharmacy for me for 90 days. So I was taking that. Well, apparently that medication by itself was no longer working, and that's what caused all this. So I say this and I'm very lucky. It's actually made me, my daughter, and her boyfriend closer because they've been helping me out. Everybody at work's been great. My friends, my family, everything. So I'm not feeling sorry for myself, but I was thinking about, if I had dealt with this earlier, I could avoid the whole thing. So if you do have hypertension, if you have anything going on, go see the doctor. Don't wait. It's not worth it. Trust me, it is not worth it. All right. So that's it. That's my 2 cents. All right. So,
well, we appreciate, you letting everybody know what was up. Everybody had been asking, but I'm just glad that you're okay and that you're back where you belong, here with us on the internet. Place of nothing but positive vibes and beautiful people, right?
Yeah. So to the great disappointment to a lot of people, I did not lose the power of speech. So I'm the same jerk that I was before. Okay. So don't you worry. All right.
Well, a couple weeks ago, we did our Roadhouse review. And so I want to give you the opportunity.
Yeah.
I want to give you the opportunity to tell us your thoughts on the movie and your rating.
So I have actually watched it twice now. Okay. I've watched a lot of streaming. I've been streaming a bunch, obviously, and catching up. So tonight I got to catch up on. I got to watch Oppenheimer. But let me say this:
You know, it's 3 hours, right? You gotta sit.
What?
You just
Yeah, I know. They had that little thing on the, when they tell you how long it is, before you actually watch it. So thank you. But let me say this. So I ended up first of all, man, there are a lot of bad series and bad movies that were made. I cannot even believe. Okay, I was hooked on a South Korean drama. Okay, if you muscle through the subtitles, it's actually pretty good. But I watched Roadhouse twice. Both times, I gotta tell you, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought Gyllenhaal was good. I thought the acting, the fight sequences were phenomenal, obviously. But then after that, I watched the old Roadhouse, and there is still something missing. It's just different enough that I don't know. I watched the movie. Did you really have to call it Roadhouse? It could have been its own independent movie without having to go back to the original. I was okay with it. I got to be honest with you. That's why I ended up watching it twice. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Conor McGregor, he played Conor McGregor. I mean, we all know that. That wasn't unusual. He acted like a, depraved lunatic. Anissa, that's what I thought. I thought McGregor was McGregor. He didn't do anything different than he normally does. He was a crazy guy, acting a little crazy. It fit him. He was, I don't know. I missed the scene with Ben Gazzara driving the Mustang down the highway, that kind of thing. It was just something, but all in all, it wasn't a bad movie. There you go. That's my review.
Out of 5 possible you digs, what would you give it?
2.5, maybe 3.
I think that's I think Amy gave it like a 2. I think I gave it like a 2.5, maybe somewhere around there. Yeah.
I mean, I like the Gyllenhaal, story. The little girl with the bookstore. I felt like they could have explored that a little bit more, and they didn't.
Yeah. The movie starts losing me, Rex. It starts out and it's fun, but then they miss the point of one of the things we loved about Roadhouse was seeing the day-to-day nightly operations of the bar, right? They kind of breeze right through that, and then it kind of loses it for me at the end.
Then it becomes kind of like a James Bond kind of revenge film, So I think I would agree with that. I think it came off to a good start. The slapping scene was so funny. Okay, it still is. Then towards the end, it just became this kind of, I don't know, just your typical revenge movie type of thing, and it was moving too fast. So yeah, I would agree with that. I think that the back half was much weaker than the first half.
Yeah, but it doesn't. We talked about this last week. It was hugely successful for Amazon. I don't remember. I think 50 million households watched it or something like that. So it was a big deal. I think. I think one of the things we talked about last week, it performed way better on Amazon than it probably would have in theaters. Maybe.
I would agree. So I think that. So I don't know. It's like John always says. It's a popcorn movie. It's entertaining. The fight scenes are good. They're well choreographed, but ultimately,
Yeah.
It was all right.
Well, let's switch gears to another movie that you think should have just been a different movie. Didn't need to be called The Joker, right? So The Joker's got a sequel out this year starring Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga called Joker Folie Deux. And the trailer dropped for it this week. And we know... And like a lot of movie trailers for musicals, they hide the fact that they're a musical. This is a musical, but the trailer doesn't necessarily give out that information. So it's a musical with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, Joaquin Phoenix returning as Joker. Sounds like a weird idea. I like that Joker movie, but I didn't feel like it was something that needed a sequel or a revisit. But now we got the trailer. And now I got some interesting thoughts. I want to know, what did y'all think about the trailer?
I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. I'm one of the biggest Lady Gaga fans out there, so I'll watch anything she's in. And I totally understand what you're saying. Like, did the original Joker movie exist? But was it a fun experiment to look at and watch? Yeah. So, and I like that they're doing the Elseworld stuff, so we can get all the different types of DC. Again, that was always DC's strength, was doing all these different movies with different, whether it's rated R or PG-13 or PG, they got to experiment. So, and this was a successful experiment. So And I'll admit, I wasn't looking forward to a sequel, but then they said Lady Gaga was going to be it. So I'm like, okay. Here's my money. I'll watch.
So in the trailer, I thought Lady Gaga, looked good. Like she could act. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the storyline is good. I like the first Joker. It was a departure, by all, and looking at the trailer, this one's obviously a departure from what we're normally used to. The musical thing, I don't know how that's going to work, man. I'm not exactly sure. Is it musical like all of a sudden you break out in song and dance?
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm definitely thinking it's all in their heads.
Yeah,
it's all fantasy.
Yeah, that could be. And that was
there's a bit where they're in the trailer, you can see like it says the Arkham Hotel and everything looks like an obvious set, like old school Hollywood. Apparently Todd Phillips is very much influenced by old school Hollywood here. There's going to be the music's going to be like popular songs from back in the day or something like that. So it's not going to be original music either, but it looks interesting. It looks really interesting to me.
So if they do that and it's totally inside their heads, a musical part of it, that's actually a good angle, I think.
I mean, they already kind of used that angle in the first movie. As part of that movie is all in his head. Like Zazie Beetz, who his love interest, like spoiler, like they never were together. That was all made up.
So the question becomes, again, did you need to call it Joker? Did you need to base it on that? I don't know. Okay, we'll see. But I think it looks good enough. I think, the presence of Lady Gaga is going to bring that audience out. So I think jury's out. Okay. I think it's going to be interesting. All right. So I would watch it just from that standpoint. You're going to try to incorporate music, make it into a musical. You have a brand new actor on the scene in terms of Lady Gaga. So we'll see how the combination works.
One of the things we talk about here a lot is the repetitive nature of a lot of like franchise and comic book movies, right? Well, this is definitely unlike any other comic book movie that I think we've ever seen before, right?
That's true.
The trailer looked visually stunning to me, right? Mm-hmm. Like some of those scenes where it's like more fantastical and they're like on an old Hollywood set, beautiful colors and all that stuff. But then in the asylum and in the real world, I guess everything looks a little bit more bleak, a little bit more washed out. And I think it would be interesting if, like in the first one, elements of the story were in Joker's head. In this one, what if elements of it are just in Harley's head, right? Mm-hmm. And this is like her kind of having this fascination with this dude or something. But it looks awesome. Like it really does. I'm really excited for it now. Like I was when they announced the sequel and then they announced it was a musical, I was like, well, that seems interesting, but man, what are they doing? But a movie makes $1 billion. They're going to try to do another one, right? I don't think this one's going to hit that level because I know a lot of people will go in and find out it's a musical and then probably walk out. But I think it's still going to do well.
So, jury's out. But before we get to the other topics, I want to point out, okay, and this is something we've talked about time and time again. So the other topics are going to be Scary Movie, getting a remake, live action TMNT, okay, R-rated film. And
did they definitely say live action with that?
Huh?
Did they definitely say live action with that?
I don't know. You have to ask Ron. He came up with
the
topics. And then new Blair Witch film announced. Okay, I feel like Sesame Street. What do these things all have in common? Again, are there no original ideas out there? Every single topic today is a remake. The Joker is probably the farthest removed, but in a sense, it's still a remake in a way. Do we not have any original ideas?
Apparently not. Yeah. Not that Hollywood wants to fund. Well, part of that conversation is that they're scared because they're scared to invest money in something that they don't think is already guaranteed to do something, even when we are obviously dealing with franchise fatigue, right?
Well, they're beating it so each movie that's released nets less than the one before it. So they're essentially taking this and beating it to death. So, what's the outcome of that? Eventually, you're going to have to come up with a new idea. So one way or the other, we're coming down that road.
I had some friends over last week and we were going through like some movies that I had, and I was like, oh, have you guys seen this one? Banshees of Inisherin, right? Which was an original movie from a couple years ago. It was my favorite movie of 2022. And they had never seen it. So we watched it, and just rewatching that movie again. That to me is the bread and butter of Hollywood, the bread and butter of movies, of cinema, like movies like that, where it's a completely different idea. It's smart. It's funny. It's clever. It's innovative. And even Oppenheimer, which, yeah, but that's still like, it's a biopic, right? So it's like, it's good, but it's still based on.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I agree with Marcus
Real quick.
because Oppenheimer, is a story that's never really been told. But go ahead.
Like, I know nothing's original anymore. Like, guys, like, we got to pay attention. Like, they are original, like, smaller movies, but original movies are getting made. It's just they're not getting the right promotion. They're not getting the right talk behind them. But because, like,
well,
me being a nerd, I pay attention to what comes out of the film festivals, especially Sundance at the beginning of the year, and just hear even specifically when specific movies are going to come out on streaming, and once they hit streaming, then they're a lot easier to talk about. So it's really, we got, like, if we want to support the original movies, again, we got to keep using our voices and speak out and when they're out and tell people check it out.
All right, so because I've had a lot of free time, so I give you one really good example. So there is a Denzel Washington movie that was a box office bomb. Okay, I think it's called The Little Things. Okay, it's basically a detective mystery. Denzel plays an older cop, and it's got who's the guy that played Freddie Mercury in Queen?
Rami Malek.
Yeah, he's in it. So it's an interesting cast. I think the bad guy is Jared Leto, but I think he had some prosthetics or something. He didn't look like Jared Leto, but he kind of looked like Jared Leto. Maybe it's not him. Maybe it's somebody who looks like him. So I ended up watching it. So it was a box office bomb, right? Nisa.
Yeah.
So it was a box office bomb, but it was one of the #1 films on Netflix. So in other words, it was, and I watched it. It was a good premise. It was a good mystery. It was, Denzel Washington, I'm a big fan, well acted. But it fell to the wayside. I think it was made in 2019, 2020. So I don't know. But it was obviously something that went way under the radar. But then it showed up on Netflix and people started watching it. So I really enjoyed that. Another one that I really enjoyed was Mortal Engines. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
No.
With what's his name? Agent Smith from Matrix, and he was the head elf from Lord of the Rings. I forget his name, the actor's name.
Hugo Weaving.
Yes. And that was an original idea, sci-fi fantasy that I really enjoyed. That was a really good movie as well. Another original idea. So it can be done. But, as Nissa's saying, they're not marketing it. So we're not getting to those until it gets to streaming. All right. And why did I watch it? Because I was running out of crap to watch, man. All right. I got hooked into a South Korean drama, which wasn't bad if you can muscle past the subtitles. Okay. Because I was running out of stuff to watch. So I was watching these movies that, I look at the previews and say, okay, that looks mildly interesting. And I watch it. And then some I enjoyed. Yeah, Raul, I did too. I really like Mortal Engines as well. Another original idea. So it can be done. But, who was it? Billy Power Maximize said it. Hollywood is not willing to take that risk. But what they're doing now is they're just grinding what had once been a sure thing into the ground. And it won't be too long before the risk is about the same. Another remake may do worse than an original idea. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe at that point they finally decide, hey, let's try something original. But I would hate to wait that long to get to that point. But it's inevitable. Big John. I heard it was from a book. I have not read the books, but I probably will now because I like the universe. I like the whole thing.
Very cool. Well, let's talk about some of these remakes then. So let's jump into Scary Movie. Scary Movie getting a new film from Paramount and Miramax. Neil H. Moritz is attached as a producer. Its production is slated for fall. No release date or cast or writer, director, anything attached. So when the first Scary Movie came out, which was obviously a big take on Scream and a lot of the other big like movies that were
Mhm.
going on at the time, and that series kept going, like Scary Movie, they made a few of those, right? And they would
Mhm.
like take on whatever the popular movie was and spoof it. And then they started like going out and doing other things like Not Another Teen Movie, and they were just parodying all these different movies. But Scary Movie was a huge hit. I worked at a movie theater when the first one came out. I remember that very vividly because we had to check IDs before people were allowed in the theater because there was a penis in the movie, and some other crude stuff. But we're down in Alabama, and that's the one thing we can't handle is a penis in a movie, right? We did have to do the same thing for Fight Club, and I'm like, man, that's the point of Fight Club. It's like the tiniest little thing. No pun intended. But Scary Movie was a huge hit, but I never really I never really super got into them because they're just kind of dumb and silly. But I do think the time is right to kind of have that come back because there has been this resurgence of horror, what a lot of people call elevated horror, which is just modern, pretentious art house horror, which we've always had that. But I think like now with like the A24 stuff and the Blumhouse stuff,
Mhm.
I think it's right to like be made fun of again. And I like movies like that kind of poke fun at the industry and stuff like that. So I think even though I'm not necessarily a fan of the Scary Movie franchise, I do think it's an appropriate time to kind of bring it back maybe and see what they can do. What do y'all think?
That makes sense, at least. I guess it's just spoof movies actually haven't been the best lately. It's been a while since we've done, like, when was the last good spoof movie?
I got to be honest. You don't have to call it Scary Movie to do a spoof movie. I think spoof movies are great. Scary Movie was brilliant by the Wayans brothers. Really a spoof movie. Who was the first? It was Mel Brooks. If you look back,
Woo!
right? So it can be done, but why do you got to call it Scary Movie? I just I don't see the point in that. If you're spoofing a particular movie, play off of that name. But it's the same thing. We're trying to use an old franchise name, kind of like Roadhouse, trying to use an old franchise name to do something so we can get the eyes. Again, not really a remake, but along the same veins, right? It's so you can tell it's nothing but a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
And
that's the only way they know how to market movies now is basing it on our familiarity with the product, right?
I just think, again, that movie will be judged on how the spoof comes off. Okay. So if it's a good movie, then it'll be fine. If it's not, then it'll be just yet another quote unquote trying to piggyback on a successful former film using the name.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll go into like spoofing like a lot of the A24 stuff, right? You might get some Hereditary spoof in there. You might get some definitely you're going to get some Scream spoofs. I hope they bring back, what's his name? Why can I not remember his name now? The guy who played Doofy in those scary movies. I cannot remember his name for some reason. I've met him like 2 times. I've hosted a panel with him. I cannot remember. He was in Ghost World. He's in, oh man, what's his name? I don't know. Any of y'all fans of the original Scary Movie?
I mean, fan, and I watched it. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't looking
Right,
for that to
casual
make number
viewer.
2. David Arquette.
Dave Sheridan. That's it. Dave Sheridan.
The remakes stop working, they'll stop. Maybe we're the problem. Something to think about.
Do you think they are making? Oh, you're talking about Anissa's comment here?
Stance's comment, actually.
Where?
Above
I see it.
Anissa's.
If remakes stop working, they'll stop making them. So maybe we're the problem. Maybe.
It's a thought.
Maybe we are.
It's a thought.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case because a lot of times we consume what they feed us.
Do we think it has anything to do with public domain? Oh, we're so far away from some of that stuff being public domain. I don't know about that.
Anissa, I don't think so. I just think that they want a guarantee, and that's why they keep doing this. And unfortunately, there are no guarantees. So they're beginning to discover it. I think. You keep going back and trying to remake the same thing. It's just, it really gets tiring to a certain extent. Somebody mentioned, Big John mentioned Naked Gun. Why are you remaking that? It was Leslie Nielsen's, that was him. So now you're going to recast. You're going to use Qui-Gon Jinn, okay? And he's going to be, he's going to be the new Naked Gun guy. Why? Make that movie, okay? You don't need to call it Naked Gun, okay? And you could still pull it off. So no, I don't think those movies should be remade. I agree with Big John. Why? Because inevitably that comparison is going to happen. Okay, we're going to compare Liam Neeson to Leslie Nielsen. Did they pick those two guys because their initials are the same? LN.
I think they already got their names confused and mixed up, right, from people. So why not?
So I think that's a really bad idea. But they just keep remaking, man. It's just bad.
Yeah, they really do. Speaking of, how about a new Blair Witch movie? Blumhouse and Lionsgate teaming up, not just for Blair Witch, but Blumhouse and Lionsgate are teaming up so that Blumhouse can reimagine things from the Lionsgate repertoire, right, if you will, including Blair Witch. And the interesting thing is this. Well, I guess the interesting thing is I don't know if there's an interesting thing about this. Okay, so when the first Blair Witch movie came out, I was on board. I'm a huge horror fan. It seemed like a big moment. It was exciting, all the build up to it. Then you go watch the movie, and I remember kind of being forgiving of the movie, and then over time, like being like, oh, I don't know about it anymore. It just kind of seems loose. And it's definitely something that I've been thinking about rewatching because I haven't seen it in like a long, long time. And I do remember when they did Blair Witch 2 and they tried to make more of like a movie with it, and it just didn't really work. Didn't they do a third one or something? But so now Blumhouse, they did. See, and I don't know, but I was super into the lore and the idea of Blair Witch, but I do think the execution didn't quite get there. But it's still a very important film in horror cinema history because of the impact it had. And you wouldn't have things like Paranormal Activity and a lot of the found footage stuff without Blair Witch. And I remember, and y'all might remember this, where there were still people back in the day that thought like that was real. Like they thought that was a real thing, kind of like Cannibal Holocaust was believed to be real. So real that they actually tried to arrest the director for being responsible for killing these people. Blair Witch, it's interesting. First of all, it's Blumhouse. I don't know if I really necessarily like Blumhouse movies that are not directed by Jordan Peele. They just don't typically usually work for me. But I don't know. What do y'all think?
I mean, right. I liked the first Blair Witch enough. Like, I respect it for what it is and what it did. Otherwise, I'm not super interested in that series. So, from what I heard about the last new one they did, they at least tried to do an interesting idea with it. It just didn't come out that way they wanted it to. So, I don't know what the plan is with this one.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be like a found footage thing, or if they're just going to try to do something like a typical, like by the numbers, horror film. I don't know.
So Blair Witch, when it first came out, I went to movie theaters to see it with my ex-wife. Hated it. Okay. The camera angle and motion made me gave me motion sickness. And I got to tell you, the lead actress, I was getting tired of seeing her snotty nostrils. Okay. The entire film. Okay. Didn't need it. So with that being said, I find it ironic. Don't you? Because the one thing that Blair Witch was very successful at and was known for was it was really the number one film that was marketed almost entirely through the internet, right? They had bypassed, sidestepped the traditional way of releasing a movie, and they got to do that. So it was, in that sense, it was I don't regret seeing it, even though I didn't like it, because it was revolutionary. It stuck it to the big, to the man, in a sense. It stuck it to the studios, like, hey, we don't need your big budget. We don't need, we can get this film, okay, out by word of mouth. And they did it. Isn't it funny now? Big corporate is going to turn around and remake the damn thing. To me, that is the biggest hypocrisy. It is against everything that Blair Witch stood for when it first came out. Blair Witch 2, Blair Witch 3, I didn't even know they made that. I kind of understand. Okay. The original guys were getting paid. They got to get paid, man. You know, people got to make money. So they sold it. I get it. But now, come on, man. Really? I mean, in what boardroom did this seem like a good idea? Yeah. It was known. Whatever you think about the movie, the quality of the movie, whatever. What it represented was a shift, taking a piece of the pie and taking it away from the man. So the man thinks that they're going to remake it and it's going to be successful. How are you going to mimic or replicate what made it special in the first place? You can't. You're the man. Okay, that movie was a demonstration of how to get around the man. You're the man, and now you're going to try to make money. I mean, at what point did somebody not say this? I think it will be a dismal failure. Okay, because the storyline was okay, legend of it was okay, you know. So it was just a novel concept with a novel marketing and release scheme. That's what made it special. That's what put it in the news. And I think a lot of people went and had the same impression I had. Okay. All this moving around is making me sick. And my God, can somebody hand that woman a tissue and have her blow her nose? Okay. That's what we were thinking. But yeah, Marcus, right? And he'll just beat everybody up, including the ghost.
He'd just be walking around in the nude, kicking witches out of the woods.
Yeah. Okay, come get me, ghost. Okay. Throwing chairs at it. So, I just don't see what, and if you have a really good storyline that it's a departure, okay, from the original Blair Witch concept, they just make I think it was Anitz who said it, just make a whole new damn movie. Why you got to call it Blair Witch Project? It just doesn't make any sense to me. That I think was a really bad decision. Again, I go back to all the shows and movies I've seen. My gosh. There must be drunken boardroom meetings all over the movie making world, because I watch some of these films. I get halfway through, I'm like, somebody actually dumped money into this. Somebody sat in a boardroom and said, "Hey, let's throw a few $1 million at this. I think it's a winner." What?
Have you ever seen like the Key and Peele bit they do? That's like inside the pitch meetings or whatever. They did one for Gremlins 2. And they're just like, everybody come up with a gremlin. You want a googly-eyed gremlin? Let's do it. It's in the movie. Like, you want you talking about an electric gremlin that's going to go around and into the phone lines and in the power lines? It's in the movie. It's just like, it is what happens. It seems like sometimes. And so much of this, of course, is, why do they remake things? Why do they use these names? It's for the brand recognition, right? It's to get people. Here's the thing. Blair Witch hasn't been relevant to most people in a long time. Like since that original movie. And most people didn't even necessarily like it. Like you said, Rex, you're right on the money. It was the way they marketed that movie, the way they shot that movie, and the financial success of that movie. They made that movie with nothing, right? And it made a ton of money. I think at the time, I don't think this still stands, but at the time it was the highest, it was the most money-making independent film of all time. It took, before that it was like Halloween. Like the original Halloween, and then it was Blair Witch. It may still be just based on how much they spent on that movie. They ain't got no script. They just they put these 3 people out in the woods, leave them little notes like, do this, and just like, what a weird experience. I would more rather see a movie that's about the making of that movie in a way, right? That seems way
that actually just a documentary.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad point. That would be interesting. I mean, I'd like to know as well, but.
Yeah, the 3 actors from the original Blair Witch Project are going to be at Scarefest this year. So definitely something I got to ask is like, what was that like? Like, you're just out there in the woods. You have no idea what you're doing. You're making this movie.
It was cold and she had a post-nasal drip. That's what I can tell you.
Oh, I bet she really regrets that scene. This is all she hears about probably is her snot. I think her name's Heather Donahoe or something like that. But yeah, Blair Witch, I mean, I guess they're doing it, so why not? Blumhouse already ruined Halloween. Let's ruin something else. So sounds good to me. All right, last bit of news we're going to talk about is the TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the last Ronin live-action R-rated film announced as in the works. Now, TMNT, the last Ronin, is based on it's going to be based on the comic book. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird got back together and gave us kind of like a Dark Knight Returns for the Turtles, right? Where it's about like off in the future, all the turtles have been killed except for one. So there's only one who's left. And it's telling the story of the fall of the Turtles and then the rise of the last Ronin. And it's a really solid comic. I enjoy it. It's going to be interesting to see it as a movie. They're definitely marketing it towards the adult crowd because it's R-rated. I don't think it has to be R-rated, like having read the comic, but I'm excited for a new live-action Turtles film. This has got a very serious approach, and you remember all the controversy of the original TMNT movie because it had like the word damn in it, and it was so violent, and it was made for kids. Like, I bet we're going to get some more of that kind of controversy coming up. Are you making a Turtles movie? It's going to be rated R. This is a kid's property, right? But that wasn't necessarily a kid's book. I don't know. I'm excited, though, to check it out and see what they do with it. What do y'all think?
I'm definitely intrigued. I'll say that. I'm definitely intrigued.
Another damn remake on a property that you, after the first couple of movies, you have not been able to successfully turn around. That's what I see. So, yeah.
You don't think it's a little bit different because it's based on a new book that Eastman and Laird did together?
No, because in order for it to make money, you need to draw on the audience that doesn't know anything about the last run, who don't actually read the comics. Their only memory of the TMNT franchise was through the movies, right? So, no, I don't think so. I don't think it'll make any difference. To most of the world, it'll just be another TMNT movie. You know, they tried it before. Let's put Megan Fox in there. Maybe that'll spark things up. Whatever. Okay. But no, I don't think it'll make any difference, whatever.
You know, that second one with Megan Fox, I actually liked. I thought it was pretty decent, but it was kind of silly and off the mark. So this one is going to be live action. It is being written by Tyler Burton Smith, who wrote Boy Kills World, and Walter Hamada is producing it. So I don't know. Well, I think it could be cool, and I definitely think it's interesting because they're marketing it towards, like, this is going, like, that comic book did really, really well, right? Like, it sold crazy, and they're in the midst of its sequel right now. First issue's out, and it's doing really well. It's cool. It's doing really well too. So one of the things that brought so many people in to check out that book was like, oh, I remember the Turtles, and now here's like a dark, like sad, somber, kind of very serious and slightly mature version of the Turtles growing up. And I mean, you see Turtles die, like you see their death scenes, right? And flashbacks and stuff. And I guess if you don't know, I don't want to spoil it, but like who the last Ronin is, the change in personality to that character was kind of like very sad and tragic. So I think that the film has the potential to kind of grab that audience, those of us who are now in our 40s, right, who loved Turtles back in the day, and kind of make something for us. But I do think there's going to be controversy with it being an R-rated film because most people still will think of the Turtles as a kid's franchise because it's maintained this generational look.
Yeah, I don't think so, though. Because really, look at what they've been marketing, through the years for TMNT through the kids. So no, I don't really think so. I think there won't be any controversy. I think that they want to get that crowd. But my problem is this: even that crowd that read Last Ronin, they're going to go watch it no matter what, love it or hate it. You already got that crowd. So how are you going to get the average adult to come in and watch? That I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just trying to, again, beat the dead horse. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles worked. Maybe Vanilla Ice is still available. I mean, come on, guys.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be great.
That would be the best part. An old Vanilla Ice doing the one song you ever had. Okay. It's just, to me, it's just, I don't know. It's sadder and sadder. I don't know which is worse, TMNT or Blair Witch. I mean, my God, people. All right, come up with an original idea. Again, I'm going to go back. Mortal Engines. If you haven't watched it, watch it. If you're kind of into sci-fi fantasy, premise is good, love it. Vanilla Ice. Come on.
Vanilla Ice is in part 2.
He's in part 2.
Secret of the Ooze, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm doing
a panel Sunday we got our local con this weekend And I'm doing a panel with the star of Secret of the Ooze, Ernie Reyes Jr. on Sunday. So I'm really
Are you
excited.
kidding? Ernie
No.
Reyes Jr. You know what? When you're there, tell him I said hello. A personal friend of yours said hello. Ernie Reyes Jr. Okay, I remember his first, I believe his first known acting job was on Red Sonja with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, and he did Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. Yeah, his father, Ernie Reyes Jr. Sr. They grew up in California. He was a forms champion on the West Coast, I believe. I don't remember his exact accolades. The kid was a natural. Okay, and he was in 2, but he was also in 1. I forget which one, but he was one of the
Donatello.
turtles, right?
He was Donatello, yeah. Like the actual guy in the suit, not the voice, y'all, because that was Corey Feldman.
Yeah,
but yeah, he was the dude in the suit. And then he's the pizza delivery guy in part 2. And then in one of my personal favorite movies, Surf Ninjas. I love Surf Ninjas.
So he was sidekicks, correct, Marcus? He was always a natural in terms of martial arts. It was a lot of fun watching him. You know, his career kind of took that kind of route. He didn't become exactly Jean-Claude Van Damme or anything like that. But I'm a huge fan of Ernie Reyes Jr. So that sounds cool. Man, he's getting old too.
Yeah, I get to do his panel on Sunday. I'm doing a panel with James O'Barr and Joe Rubenstein. And then tomorrow I'm doing a panel with Rachel Lee Cook. And I am so beyond excited for that because I'm a huge, huge Josie and the Pussycats fan. I love She's All That. I even like the movie she's in with Sylvester Stallone, Get Carter, which I think is a remake too.
Right.
Oh yeah, and Running Man. They announced they're doing a new Running Man movie, and Glenn Powell.
Yeah, I can't comment. I've never seen the original.
I saw that, Big John. I saw you make that, and then we kind of moved on. Got distracted. But why? Why are you making Running Man? Okay, why? All right.
I love the original Running Man. I do. I love.
So did I, and I love the original Total Recall. They remade that. How'd that do? Okay, stop it. Okay, yeah, I agree, Enrico. They shouldn't touch it. There's nothing you can do that's going to refresh that. There's nothing. Okay, half the stuff that happened has already come true. Actually, ironically enough. Okay.
Jesse Ventura is awesome in that original movie.
Oh man, he's awesome. The whole movie. Richard Dawson was awesome. Yeah, as the bad guy, the game show bad guy. You cannot remake it. And here's the thing: it no longer applies today. If you think about it, the game shows that we watch, do we really watch? Game shows have taken a nosedive really as a whole, right? There aren't as many.
Game shows may have, but like the idea of competition reality show is still kind of big, and that's kind of like the new game show, right?
Maybe they go that route, but the magic of that was when it was made. Game shows were huge. Okay, Opera Man, game shows were huge, and every major channel had some sort of game show going on, right? So they played on that, and they played on how it was, how they would use that to manipulate society. And I thought that was great. Good one, Marcus. I don't know how they're going to do this. Okay, I really don't. So it's a reality show.
I can imagine it being something like that, right? Like something more along that line,
right? And what? Because
they'll do it with a lot of special effects this time, Rex. That'll be the difference.
Well, but here's the thing: the original one showed how the game shows became distraction for the elite to get away with what they got away with. I don't know how you're going to do it this time. Okay, it's a reality show like Survivor, except you can get killed. Okay,
yeah, they'll like Hunger Games it or something like that, right? It'll be something.
Just idea. There you go. Online gambling.
Hello,
you still there?
Are y'all there?
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That took a while.
Right.
That's awesome. Would you want Arnold to make a cameo?
God, no.
I mean,
God, no.
Yeah. Amy, you should watch the original Running Man. That'd be a fun one to watch, I think. I like it. Very 80s.
Yeah, it was just well done. It was a great movie, and why are you going to mess that up?
And based on a Stephen King novel that he did under his when he had that other pen name. What was it? Richard Bachman or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. No, it's just it was when I saw the remake of Total Recall, I was so disappointed. I was just so disappointed. It just was so much worse. And you know, I saw what they were trying to do, but God, that was brutally bad. You know?
All right. I think we got a show on the horizon being like, why do they keep remaking crap?
Agreed.
Like, come on. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for today's conversation. Rex, Amy, thank you. What y'all got coming up?
Tonight is the original art experience. Nick's gonna show off a lot of items, but only a few items are gonna be for sale. But they're really nice stuff. We got a little spectacular Spider-Man, a Mark Bagley cover, and a Queen Sonia #1. It's a painting of that cover by Lucio Perillo. So come check that out. Beautiful painting.
I want to respond to Marcus. Marcus, I am, because that's all they made, dude. Okay. If you serve me nothing but steak, I'm going to be focused on steak, right? Now, you know, even if I want some lobster, I'm going to be focused on steak if that's all you're serving me. So, Marcus, the reason I'm too focused on it is because that's all they make, dude. Very rarely do I get to watch something that is not a remake.
One of my favorite Rex analogies is the steak and lobster thing he likes to do. Lobster's great until you eat it all day long. It's true, though. All right. Also, we'll be done Monday at the Comic Collectables show, so that's going to be super fun. We have a really great movie that we're talking about Monday night here on PCP Movie Night. We're going to be talking about Yojimbo from Akira Kurosawa. Love this movie. Cannot wait. We've done a few of his films already. We did Throne of Blood. We did Seven Samurai. Now we're doing Yojimbo. So that means that Sanjiro is going to be coming at some point in the future. But I'm a big fan of that movie. If you've never watched it, check it out. It's on Max, where you can stream it right now. And then join us for our conversation Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time here on PCP Movie Night. All right, y'all. This is a great show. We'll see y'all next time. I'm sorry,
Robbie. I'm reading Marcus' Oscar-nominated films are not remakes. Some of them are. Not all of them, but some of them are.
Like what?
West Side Story was a remake. True Grit was a remake. Departed was technically a remake. Not all of them, but some of them. But that's a conversation for another day.
Marcus, everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once. I agree. That was a good movie.
Yeah, that is a good one. All right, we'll catch y'all next time. Station.